from the Great Red Book of Westmarch, that precious chronicle of the Perianeth, we draw this account. Herein is set down the record of the last days of the Third Age, and the great deeds that brought it to its final, fateful close.
And so, we come to the fourth book of the account of the Ring-Bearers. You know, its tale runs parallel to the great deeds of the war in the West, yet it is a very different story. A story of shadow and of stealth, of a journey into the very heart of the enemy's domain, undertaken by the smallest of all the free folk.
Because you see, with the breaking of the fellowship at Amon-Hen, the hope of the quest itself seemed sundered. But two hobbits, Master Frodo Baggins and his faithful servant Samwise Gamgee, they journeyed on, eastward, toward the land of Mordor, their path now completely hidden from the eyes of friend and foe alike.
Ancient scrolls tell of how, in that stony, desolate labyrinth of the Imyn Muil, they finally subdued the creature Gollum, and by an act of pity, an act that would have consequences reaching to the very crack of doom, Frodo spared his life. Instead, he bound him with an oath sworn upon the precious itself, a bond of truly terrible power, forcing him to serve the new ring-bearer.
Now, the chronicles tell that this creature, once called Smeagol, was a being of deep, deep and ancient misery. The long dominion of the ring, well, it had cloven his mind in two. Two warring spirits fought for mastery within him, and this struggle, this internal war, would shape the very course of their journey to the Mountain of Fire.
We must remember his history. He was of the Store folk, akin to hobbits, who, for love of the Great Ring, slew his own kinsman, Diogol. For nearly 500 years he possessed it. Think of that, a tenure second only to the Dark Lord Sauron himself. Is it any wonder this long burden shattered him, leaving the fawning, pitiful Smeagol ever at war with the treacherous Gollum?
And for a time, in the service of his new master, whom he truly seemed to revere, the gentler spirit of Smeagol began to stir. There was a fragile chance of redemption, but it was ever thwarted by the steadfast suspicion of Samwise, who could only see the murderer and the thief. And so, upon the stairs of Cirith Ungol, a crucial moment of near repentance was lost forever, when a single harsh word from Sam cast the fragile Smeagol back into the waiting darkness of Gollum.
Their path, as chosen by their wretched guide, led them not by the ways of men, but through lands that held the deep memory of sorrow, places where the wounds of ancient wars had never, ever healed. They passed through the Dead Marshes, a vast, stinking graveyard from the end of the Second Age. It was here, you see, upon the plains of Doggerlad, that the last alliance of elves and men broke the first power of Sauron, and the dead of that great battle, they lie there still, in the stagnant pools. Their ghostly lights, the candles of corpses, they still burn. A chilling testament that the wounds of the past, they are never truly healed. After passing the impenetrable Black Gate, they were forced to turn south into the fair land of Ithilien. And in that last outpost of Gondor's fading beauty, the spirit of the quest would face its greatest trial of temptation since the fall of Boromir. Because in this land, they were taken by the Rangers of Ithilien, and they were brought before their captain, Faramir, second son of Denethor, the steward of Gondor, and yes, brother, to that very same Boromir who had fallen to the ring's terrible lure. And right here, in this meeting, the quality of the men of the West was shown in its two different aspects, where Boromir, in his pride, saw the ring as a weapon to be wielded for the glory of Minas Tirith. Faramir, in his wisdom, saw it only as a peril, a poison that would destroy everything he loved. He embodied the ancient lore and perception of Númenor, but in its twilight. The ring was tested, and Faramir, son of Denethor, he proved true. With these words, he showed a strength of spirit his proud brother lacked, a quality of the old kings of the West. By refusing the lure of power, he allowed the quest to go on, and he demonstrated that the true strength of Gondor lay not in weapons of war, but in wisdom and restraint. Released by the wisdom of Faramir, they were led by Gollum once more, up the dreadful stairs of Cirith Ungol, for the creature's malice had at last overcome him entirely. He was leading them now into a trap, into the lair of an ancient and nameless evil. For in that high pass dwelt Shelob the Great. She was the last child of Ungoliant the Gloomweaver, who in the elder days aided the first Dark Lord in the destruction of the two trees of Valinor themselves. She was an evil of primordial darkness and hunger. She owed allegiance to no one, not even Sauron. To her, he was just a passing trifle. And so, against this ancient darkness, an even more ancient light was brought to bear. Let's trace its lineage, shall we? The fuel of Galadriel, a gift to Frodo and Lothlorien, held the captured light of Arundel's star. And that star was, in truth, the Holy Silmaril, which itself held the unsullied light of the two trees of Valinor, from before the world grew old. It was the light of creation's very dawn, set against the endless night. Here, the chronicle records the darkest hour of the quest. All hope, it seemed, just vanished in the stinking darkness of that lair, and the fate of the world came to rest upon the shoulders of a simple gardener from the Shire.
As Gollum looked on, Shelob struck. Her venomous sting took the ring-bearer, and he fell, pale and still as death. Gollum's betrayal was fulfilled, and to the weeping eyes of Samwise Gamgee, his beloved master was slain.
Everything was lost. The ring-bearer was dead, the quest had failed. The darkness would now be triumphant. What choice remained for a loyal servant, all alone in the heart of the enemy's country? But in that moment of absolute despair, the love of Samwise for his master was forged into a courage of truly heroic temper. He took up the elven blade sting, a relic from the hidden city of Gondolin. He wielded the phial of Galadriel, a light from the elder days, and at last, heavy with a grief that would break a stone, he took the ring from his master's neck to continue the quest alone. But as he hid from a patrol of orcs, their foul speech brought a new and terrible revelation. His master was not dead. Shelob's venom did not kill, it merely feigned the appearance of death. Frodo was alive, but he was now a prisoner, stripped and carried to the high tower of Cirith Ungol. And so ends the fourth book of this account. The servant, now a ring-bearer himself, is outside the gate, and the true master is within, helpless in the hands of the enemy. What hope remains for Frodo of the Shire, and indeed for the fate of all Middle-earth, now hangs by the very slenderest of threads.